Right now, almost every person on Earth uses money every single day. We work for it, save it, spend it, and worry about it. But almost nobody stops to ask the deeper question: how did this strange system begin? How did ancient humans go from a world with no money at all to a world where small pieces of metal, and later paper and numbers on a screen, could buy almost anything? The answer is not a single invention. It is a long, messy, and surprisingly clever process that unfolded across different continents over thousands of years. In the beginning, there was only barter. If you had extra grain and needed a tool, you found someone who had a tool and needed grain. It sounds simple, but it was full of problems. What if the person who had the tool didn't want grain? What if they wanted animal skins instead, and you had none? This is called the double coincidence of wants. Both people must want exactly what the other has at the same moment. In small groups, it sometimes worked. In larger communities, it became almost impossible. So ancient humans began to look for things that almost everyone wanted. These early forms of money were not invented in a meeting. They emerged naturally from what people already valued. In many pastoral societies, cattle became the first real measure of wealth. A man was rich because of how many cows or sheep he owned. Cattle could be counted, moved, and used for milk, meat, and status. Across large parts of Africa, the Middle East, and early Europe, livestock functioned as living money for centuries. Elsewhere, other objects took on the same role. In China and parts of Africa and Asia, cowrie shells became widely accepted. They were beautiful, durable, hard to fake, and small enough to carry. In ancient China, cowrie shells were used so extensively that the written character for money still carries the radical for shell. In the Pacific Islands, large stone discs served a similar purpose. In parts of North America, wampum beads made from shells became a medium of exchange. Salt also played a powerful role. In some regions, it was so valuable that soldiers were paid with it, the origin of the word salary. Roman soldiers received part of their wages in salt. In West Africa, salt was traded ounce for ounce with gold for long periods. These commodity monies solved the barter problem, but they still had limitations. Cattle die, shells can break, salt dissolves. People needed something more durable, more divisible, and easier to standardize. That is when metal entered the story. At first, people simply used lumps of copper, silver, or gold by weight. You brought your metal to a scale, it was weighed, and the deal was done. This was a major step forward, but it was still slow and required trust in the weighing process. The real breakthrough came in the kingdom of Lydia, in what is now Western Turkey, around the 7th century BCE. The Lydians began stamping pieces of electrum, a natural mix of gold and silver, with official marks. These were the world's first true coins. The stamp guaranteed the weight and purity. You no longer needed to weigh every piece. You could simply count them. King Croesus of Lydia later refined the system by issuing pure gold and pure silver coins. His wealth became legendary, and the idea of stamped coins spread rapidly. Greek city-states adopted and improved the concept. The Athenians produced the famous owl coins that circulated across the Mediterranean. The Romans later created a highly organized monetary system that helped hold their empire together. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, China was following a different path. Long before round coins became common, the Chinese used bronze spade money and knife money, metal objects shaped like tools that had once been useful in daily life. Over time, these shapes became more symbolic and eventually evolved into the familiar round coins with square holes, which could be strung together. China also developed paper money centuries before Europe did, during the Song dynasty, because carrying heavy strings of coins became impractical. In India, punch-marked silver coins appeared by the 6th century BCE, roughly around the same time as the first Lydian coins. These coins carried various symbols punched into the metal and circulated widely across early Indian kingdoms. What is striking is that these developments happened independently in different parts of the world. Ancient humans in Anatolia, China, India, and later Mesoamerica all arrived at similar solutions because they faced the same fundamental problem: how to make exchange easier, fairer, and more scalable as societies grew larger. Money did more than solve practical problems. It changed how people thought. Once value could be stored in a small object, it became possible to save for the future, to pay strangers, to hire labor, and to collect taxes on a large scale. Temples and palaces began to act as early banks, storing wealth and recording debts. In ancient Mesopotamia, clay tablets recorded loans and interest long before coins existed. In Greece, Money changers set up tables in the marketplace. The origin of the word bank comes from the bench or table they used. There were also darker sides. Control over the money supply became a source of power. Rulers debased coins by mixing cheaper metals, causing inflation. Counterfeiting appeared almost as soon as coins did. Entire economies could be disrupted when trust in the currency collapsed. Yet the core idea survived and spread. From cattle and shells to weighed metal, to stamped coins, to paper, and eventually to the digital numbers we use today. The logic remains the same. Money is a shared agreement. It works only because enough people believe it works. Ancient humans did not sit down one day and invent money in its modern form. They slowly, experimentally, and often independently discovered ways to make exchange more efficient. What began as a practical solution to the problems of barter became one of the most powerful tools humanity has ever created, a tool that made large-scale cooperation possible and reshaped every society it touched. The next time you hold a coin or tap a payment on your phone, you are using an idea that is thousands of years old, an idea that began when someone somewhere realized that a carefully chosen object could stand in for value itself.